Next, we'd like to hear from Ms. Menna Demessie. She's
Go ahead.
Senior Research and Policy Analyst. She's Vice President, Policy Analysis and Research for Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
Yeah, that's good. Good evening, everyone. I want to also, like my colleagues here, thank all of you, especially Alicia, Mary, and Darlene, for sharing their stories. I'm very moved, and also by all of you here, because there's so many other things you could be doing on this night. The fact that you're here it shows your concern, your genuine effort to really push this forward. Most of you are probably familiar with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and we focus mainly on the sort of federal initiatives regarding juvenile justice reform, anti-poverty, but what I realized is that there's so much power in local efforts, and there is somewhat of a disconnect between what's happening at the national level and the local level, which is why I'm here, to really hear and lend an ear to the stories. And it does not surprise me that there's a common thread. These are the same conversations that are happening all across the country. And to your earlier comments about, and to yours as well, we are in some ways in the same position we were in 20 years prior to this day, but things have changed as well. One thing I would point out is the significance of multiracial coalition building. We're in a new era. I think there are a lot of stereotypes in addition to those of that we face as a black community in particular. There are also stereotypes that young people are not active and engaged, and I think if we've learned anything tonight, they're the ones leading this movement, right? I mean, these hashtags, Black Lives Matter, is not just a symbolic effort. And I think the rest of the community across the country, we need to step up. And I mean, we're preaching to the choir here, but I think we need to sort of carry the torch to others to say that, it's time for us to join our young counterparts instead of just saying, what are you doing? You need to get up and do something. And it's hard to make good policy, and I also want to reiterate, even though at the foundation, we are in the business of research and analysis and informing policy and pushing those initiatives. We're a nonpartisan think tank. A lot of us think we are the same entity as the Congressional Black Caucus. That's not true. We work in cooperation with them because we service the same community. Legislation and implementation are two different things, and there's a lot more that all of us can do individually and collectively to push these initiatives. A lot of it is hearing the story, and a lot of it is educating ourselves. I'm very impressed with the work that the Montgomery Civil Rights Coalition is doing. On my other job, I teach students that come from all these wonderful Ivy League schools, but they couldn't tell you, what the process of civic engagement is like at the local level. They don't know, basic things. You can call your congressperson. Of course, I'd be the first to tell you that. But to really be engaged, I think we have an overemphasis on the sort of executive branch of the national government, right? And I mean, that's important, but I think too often we dismiss the power in the state and local level. There's incredible power to be gained. I mean, you can even talk about the criminal justice system alone and imagine a world or a country in which most of the governors would support these juvenile justice reform efforts, and what that would make, what kind of opportunity and equality that would create for our communities, regardless of whether it was President Obama or someone else. So basic things like when have you ever testified at a public hearing? I mean, these things matter, and I think the efforts you're making matter. People hear the stories. There are people and members of Congress that do respond to these issues. There are many mothers like yourselves, and they matter. These stories matter. And I mean, for me, we're engaged in a lot of work. One thing I noticed in my work with, I mean, there are so many people just like you and me out there doing the same work, and a lot of us are invested in reinventing the wheel as opposed to joining and finding out who else is out there doing the same work. So one thing I've been doing in my own capacity at the foundation, I mean, on the Hill, and the fact that you are in close proximity to the nation's capital, I would strongly encourage, and I'm sure all of you are going to the briefings, and you'll be testifying as well. I mean, I'm an Ohio resident, but man, I wish I was in Maryland. I'd be downtown.
You can still come.
I can still come,
You
right?
can still come.
And really use that to your advantage. There are members of Congress on both sides of the aisle that support the work that you're doing. And right now, there's no time for partisan bickering because Black people and Latinos and frankly, young people are dying. And so, I would encourage everyone to find an ally who wants to be a voice, to really save Black lives. And instead of gauging criticism or trying to start your own nonprofit so you can be the CEO of the next organization that's going to save, find somebody who's already doing it, because there's more strength in that than there's a lot of politicking going on. And I mean, yeah, that's inevitable to some degree. But right now, Black people are dying, and that is, and if I've learned anything from the young folks across the country, I've learned that they get it, and they are the next John Lewises, and there are the next Ella Bakers. They're here. You all are doing that work. I actually met Elsa recently at Howard University, where we had a State of the African American Male Town Hall, and I met some of your colleagues as well. I mean, I don't consider myself that old, although I'm starting to get more gray hairs, but things are bothering me and on my mind. But I am very inspired by the work that you all are doing. And part of our efforts at the foundation is to really be a collective voice. Find the people that are out there, bring them together. We've been working on a juvenile justice anti-poverty initiative since last year. There are several CBC task forces and others that are working primarily on this issue. You have champions of change. You need to find out who they are and join them, and really combine the efforts you're doing at a state and local level with those at the federal level. And you can see it. You turn on the news. We now have a 21st century policing task force. The DOJ is trying to figure out, how they can use their power to really fix the system. And so there is opportunity, and I think, this evening shows that it really just takes, and it really takes the strength and ability of you to just stand up and say, I care, and I'm willing to find others that do. So I commend all of you on the panel. My hearts go out to you, and I really applaud the mothers who are really living legends for their sons and continuing their legacy, and we hear you. And it's really time to join hands and make a difference. So, and congratulations to all those here this evening who are ready for the fight.
Thank you.